In a world where Dr. Mike has blinked the military press into blacklisted oblivion, the forces of the science-based cabal shackle the wrists of every gym-goer to the cable stack for kneeling side raises and butterfly laterals on the Atlantis E-252 machine. A few isolated basement dwellers worship at the altar of the squat rack, drawing the curtains to preserve the ancient craft of overhead pressing. We chant litanies from the immortal Blue Book. We risk life and rotator cuff. We clench our glutes and inadvertently impersonate Michael J. Fox while we strive to lock out another elusive PR. A basic visual scan from the form cyborgs would penetrate not only our blackout blinds, but the very walls and foundations of our parents' basement. Nonetheless, we continue to thrust barbells skyward, driven by a primal and spiritual imperative that our intraset grunting falls short of expressing. Those noises aren't what you think, Mom. It just feels so right, our souls are saying. We tell ourselves that Sam Shathar and Alex Bromley didn't build cannonball delts, getting their jock straps in a wad over optimal resistance curves and EMG studies. We wish one or both of them would send us their lightly misted jock straps so we can rub ourselves down in an attempt to absorb the essence of their pressing strength. Right, fellas? Right? If you've got a blatant disregard for shoulder impingement and a hard-on for shoving heavy shafts north of your noggin, I invite you to follow me through the wardrobe and meet the veritable Aslan of overhead pressing. Arthur Saxon was a German strongman whose world record of 370 pounds in the bent press has remained intact for over a century. While I don't doubt that Andrew Richard could walk into the gym cold and challenge this mark, keep in mind that Saxon spent his strongest years in a poverty-stricken country without access to Richard's preferred ergogenic aids of Sour Patch Kids and Tropicana lemonade. Saxon got in his grip work carting wheelbarrows of recently worthless German marks to exchange for Bauernbrot at the bakery. But I'm not your AP Euro teacher. Shouts out to the defenestration of Prague. Let's start by getting a grip on the lift that made Saxon's name. The bent press is performed by taking a weight from the shoulders to overhead with one arm, sort of like the final stages of a Turkish get-up, and a little less but still somewhat like the weighted version of a flip in capoeira. Athletes who know the cheat code to the movement can achieve weights in excess of their maximal two-handed barbell press. Before you conventional copers relegate it to the sumo of overhead movements, consider that the bent press is about as awkward and terrifying as Dave Tate doing banded good mornings out of the same monolift as the late great Louis Simmons. The bent press has been performed with barbells, dumbbells, kettlebells, and probably recently minted spouses in a show of nuptial competence. The lift begins by either cleaning the implement or, if using a barbell, lifting one end and rocking it onto the shoulder in a similar fashion to the Steinborn squat. If you are lefty like me, your left leg would end up straight and directly under the weight, with your right leg bent oh so slightly. You'd then bend to the right while maintaining the weight's position. You're going to keep bending that way until your arm is fully extended, utilizing total concentration breathing. As any good athlete or prostitute who serviced Lance Armstrong would tell you, you want to keep your eye on the ball. In this case, that's the weight. Once you're under the implement, you'll stand erect. Voila! At the expense of your rotator cuffs and QL, you've taken a hefty load and gotten bent. The three-point stance is critical for both sides of that double entendre. I'm no physicist, but I can picture an imaginary line running vertically from the weight through the supporting arm and leg. It's less of a press than the kind of contortion you might see some ballerina in an Oni mask performing with a silk scarf in Cirque du Soleil. The trick is moving your body around the implement. That old guy at the Y making love to the cable stack on tricep extensions. Now that we've got a picture of the lift, let's backtrack to the man who made his career off of it.
In the second part of this project, we'll be covering Arthur Saxon himself, provided that we don't get got by the form cyborgs.
Remember that the only super effective defense against an AI is riding the Chinese virus through Wintermute's ice. Thanks for watching. If you've got topic requests, I'd love to hear them below. In the words of the immortal Miyamoto Musashi, seek nothing outside yourself, except a like, a subscribe, and a comment.